everyone, this is Felicia Ruiz coming to you from the Sonoran Desert. I'm here in my sunroom today instead of my little kitchen to just go over a few things that can perhaps help you put out some really good nutritious food in a time right now when we're really struggling to create some healthful meals. One of my favorite things that I love doing in my work is sharing with my own community, my own indigenous community, on ways that we can not only be food sovereign but also re-indigenize our diet. And so although today we're going to be going over a way to utilize some of our food scraps, a lot of the things that I'm going to be showing you, some of those things are not indigenous ingredients, but the philosophy behind it is in that we have always been taught to never waste anything. And so this is something that I love teaching people how to do, because one of the things that I hate the most is seeing people waste food, whether it's a restaurant, a grocery store, or even in our own kitchen. So how many of you right now in your kitchen have just some random things? You're trying to put some meals together. You're trying to put some healthy things together. Perhaps you have some things in your refrigerator that are a little past their prime and they went bad faster than you could get to them. What happens is a lot of times things like this that don't look so great, we tend to throw things out like this. And I'm a big advocate for using all of these, what people would call scraps, veggie scraps, to make a broth. And it's really easy, and it's something that I have been doing for a long time. It's just part of my daily cooking habit, and I want to show you how you can do this at home. It's really easy. You just need some wilted vegetables, anything you have in your house. This is a vegetable stock. So every vegetable will work with the exception, I would say, of potato peelings. So if you have some cabbage, turnip greens, onions, beets, celery, carrots, whatever you're making, if you are blessed to have excess where you now have some leftovers like this, don't throw them away. Let's just say this actually was really a great piece of Swiss chard, but I didn't want the end. I would cut off the end, and rather than throw this piece in the trash, I'm going to save it. And you might be asking why? Because once we have a big bag saved of all of these little scraps, I put them in the pot, and it makes the most tasty veggie broth. And so that was an example if this was a good piece of Swiss chard, but this one's a little past its prime. So what I do, I actually just put it aside. If you're using something like a carrot and you're peeling your carrots, rather than throw your carrot peelings away, you're going to be putting them aside. And so this just goes for everything. I have some celery. Sometimes the ends of celery get really brown like that, and so rather than throw those pieces away, I'm going to put them aside. I have some tomatoes here that don't look so great. I love eating tomatoes, but after a few days on the counter, sometimes I can't get to the whole bag or the whole pint, and they start to kind of shrivel up like this. I just put them aside. What's another example? Garlic. Sometimes you'll get garlic that has just a little shoot coming out because it's getting a little bit old. Don't throw it away, put it aside. Let's do this pepper. So if this pepper was something that, let's say I wanted to cook up with some squash, we usually take off the ends like this, and we would eat that, say. Actually, this piece looking a little funky. I'm going to put that in there too, along with the stem. So if you see that whole part in there. Rather than throw this away, I'm going to put everything in there. And even these pieces in here. And you might say, that doesn't look so great. It doesn't look so great. But once it's all cooked down, the broth will taste so good. And so I'm just going to put all of those things in there. And this part I will cook for another time. Let's do this. This is a beet, a golden beet. If I was to be roasting this, you know, I might want to take off the peeling of this beet. But rather than throw the peeling away, I'm going to be saving this like this. And so that also goes for the ends. The ends of celery, the ends of carrots, the ends of beets. If you're so lucky to be growing things in your own garden and you have a lot of excess vegetables and fruit or food, please take this suggestion to heart. This was from my garden. I brought home a whole bunch, but I couldn't get to all of it. Some people may have thrown this away. I put it in my little pile. What else do I have? Some more tomatoes. Here's an onion. So another little thing you can do, onions are so good for your immune system, as is the garlic. Everything here is so good for your immune system, but onions especially. So when I'm doing cooking an onion for my meals, you know, I usually take off the top and the bottom. And onions always make me cry, so I'll probably start getting teary-eyed from this. But rather than throw these away, you're going to put them aside. And that also goes for the peelings. A lot of people don't realize that you can put that in a broth and it'll actually turn the color of your broth really pretty color. And just take off those peelings and put them aside. I'm actually going to put this onion over here because it's going to make me cry. And so let's see, what else do I have? Oh, once you have your scraps, well actually let me backtrack. This is what I like to do and it works best. I've probably had this actual Ziploc bag for about 5 years. What I do is every time I'm cooking dinner, lunch, whatever scraps I have in that moment, I put them in a Ziploc bag, just like this, a gallon Ziploc bag. And then I keep it in my freezer. So every time I make something new, I have some more scraps, I put it in the bag. It looks like what I have in here, maybe I had some parsley that was a little past its prime. I have some cabbage cores, it looks like, in here. Some turnip tops, some beet bottoms, kale pieces. It looks like I even had some wild flowers that I know are edible that I couldn't finish drying or something. I don't know why they're in here, but the point is, don't throw your scraps away. Put everything in your Ziploc bag, keep it in your freezer, and then when your bag is full, just like this, you boil it in a big pot, like a big pot you would cook pasta in. And all you do is you take your bag, you dump the whole thing in your pot, and then you fill it up with as much water as possible. You bring it to a boil. As soon as it's starting to boil, you turn the heat down to a simmer, you put the lid on, and then you wait about 45 minutes. Just let that cook. Your house is going to smell so good, and especially if you have some of those garlic pieces in there. Sometimes if I want to make a broth that's really, really immune supportive, I'll just cut a good onion and put in there. I'll put a whole clove or head of garlic in there, and I just turn the heat on and the house will smell good. Some of you who might have rosemary that's growing in your yard, you can take some rosemary, put that in there. The point is you're making a super mineral rich, vitamin rich vegetable broth that you can use for so many different things that you want to cook later. So it's about not wasting anything and actually bringing more value to some of the meals that you might be making later. So once this has boiled for about 45 minutes, you turn the heat down. You just get a strainer or colander, and you're going to strain all of the cooked vegetables. Then you can toss that out. You'll have a beautiful golden broth that then you can either let it cool a little bit. You can put it in some freezer bags and label it. That way you have it ready to go. Or if you want, oftentimes I'll just grab my pinto beans. Where my family's from in northern New Mexico, we eat a lot of dried corn with our beans. And so I will use the vegetable broth instead of water, and I'll cook my beans and my chicos. We call them chicos in there. And it tastes so good. If you want to use that for some other type of soup, like a chicken noodle soup, you could get a lemon and squeeze a lemon, or you could even put some lemon in there when you're cooking it at the very beginning. If you want to add a little bit more like of an Asian flavor, you could put some ginger root, where you just slice that up in your broth. Anyhow, I hope that you are able to stay healthy and cook nutritious food for you and your family, and I hope you found this tip necessary and helpful. I really wish all of you to be well, and I'm praying for all of us in this time right now.